recently interviewed at Kellogg. So can you talk a little bit about your interview strategy and how did you prepare for your interview?
My preparation for Kellogg was again more about reading up and understanding a lot about the school, what their focus is on. Kellogg has a lot of focus on marketing, and you know because I have a background, a lot of background in marketing, and even post MBA in my business, I plan to continue in marketing specifically. I try to try to highlight that not only in my application but also in my interview.
So far. So that's perfect. So let's speak more about your interview experiences at Kellogg. And just to start with, if you can tell a little bit about who interviewed you and what was the medium of communication like, and how long did it last, etc.
Yeah. So the medium of communication was Skype, and a member from the AdCom committee interviewed me. Here I had to select a slot for the interview, and because the AdCom committee member was from the US, my interview was late at night at 12 a.m. actually. So just be sure that you select your interview slots early, otherwise you will be interviewing at such a difficult times only, because like you have slots early in the morning as well, like 9 and 10 a.m. So unless and until you book that well in advance, you will have to interview late at night because that's the only thing left.
Okay, perfect. And in terms of overall impressions about the Kellogg interview experience, what was it like? Was it conversational? Was it fast-paced? Was it a stress interview, etc.? So what was it like?
I think the Kellogg interview was very, very pleasant. That the admissions committee member was very, very a very pleasant lady, and she asked me very basic questions, which in every other school had asked me. And she basically just wanted to know more about my experiences, about my job, about my college days, about what I do. So it was very conversational, very pleasant, and very conventional.
Perfect. And there was absolutely no grilling whatsoever. It was just perfectly a conversational standard interview.
Yeah, correct.
Awesome. So let's speak about more specific questions that were asked to you during your Kellogg interview. So can you just walk us through how did it start and what sort of questions were asked and how did it eventually end?
So I think the first question was, what my experience was in college. How was my college experience? What did I do? And then it was basically chronological. So first I was asked about my college days. Then I was asked about my first job. Then we went into some details about my job, about the project that I worked on. My interviewer asked me about examples from my project, specific details like, give me an example of what you're talking about. And then she asked me what is one of the biggest failures that you faced as part of your first job. And then she moved on to my recent role as an entrepreneur, and again asked me about my role in my company, and what I want to do after my MBA at my company, so my post MBA role. Then she moved on to why I want to join Kellogg and why is it the right fit for me. And then she asked me whether I've traveled internationally and whether I've traveled to the US. And she asked me a very open-ended question about a time I worked in a team. So it was not about a specific detail like conflict in a team or where you managed a team. Just tell me about a time when you've worked in a team. So it can be anything at all.
Perfect. So that was in terms of, just to summarize, in terms of the focus area, what was it like for Kellogg? It was experience or any other thing as well?
It was only experience. phase. In fact, it was just, chronological experiences. First, it started with college, then first job, second job, only experience-based questions, nothing else. My post MBA role was one thing that they did ask, which was in continuation to my current role. But they didn't ask me whether I've interacted with alums or, which other schools I've applied to. All those questions were not asked.
Okay, I think this is the only school where they did not ask you
Yeah.
which other schools have you applied to.
Yeah, this is the only school that did not ask me. Every other school did want to know which other schools I've applied to.
Great. So, I mean, one of the things that I've observed while working with applicants is that when they are asking experience-based questions, they tend to go astray in terms of time limit. They speak about their experience for like 5 minutes. For example, I asked them that talk about your leadership achievement, then it would take them 5 minutes to answer this. So did you, in terms of your preparation strategy, did you prepare your stories beforehand, and how were you able to execute it during your interview?
I had to practice, answering a few experience-based questions before my interview, because I myself I had a tendency to speak for longer than is acceptable during an interview. And I think only the practicing helped, because once I was able to practice 5-6 experiences before the interview itself, during the interview I consciously made an effort to finish my answer in about 2 minutes and follow the STAR framework, so that everything is concise when I'm talking about my experience, and my interview can clearly understand what I'm trying to convey.
And in terms of any unexpected questions that were asked, it looks to me that it was a very conventional interview, but anything unexpected that happened during your interview?
No, there was absolutely nothing unexpected. I mean, very pleasant, normal interview. Yeah.
Perfect. So just a few final questions to you. If there is anything that you felt you could have improved upon during this interview, was there anything that you felt you could have done better?
I think actually this was one of the interviews that I had, because this was the only interview where I was very, very relaxed compared to every other interview, and I think that was the key in really answering to my best ability during the interview, and feeling that I actually did well in the interview.
Perfect. So having practiced the real interviews before, that boosted your confidence. And this was the last interview that you faced, right? The Kellogg interview.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. So just final words from your side, that since you have had such a fantastic application season, where you have gotten admits from 2 top business schools and you have interviewed at 6 top business schools. So any advice for future applicants in terms of both applications and also in terms of interviewing?
I think in terms of application, like I mentioned earlier, doing research on the school is very important, because it's very important to customize your essays according to the school. For you need to mention specific details about what you want to do at the school in the essays, and that kind of helps the school to relate to you better. And apart from that, I think talking to alumni, getting some guidance, like for me, Akshat guided me a lot. So getting some guidance and talking to a lot of alumni or current students helps a lot, because they give you first-hand perspective of what it's like studying in that school and what the school looks for, or what qualities you should really highlight. And in terms of the interview, I think only reading up is very, very important. And second thing is actually like verbally practicing your interview, and not only writing down points that you want to talk about during the interview. So one mock interview I feel is good, but then maybe having your friends or anyone from your family sitting in front of you and practicing, having like 3, 4, 5 mock interviews, which that kind of gives you that confidence of speaking during the interview and not just mentally remembering the points that you've noted down in some document and then trying to recollect them during the interview. So having a practice session is very important.
Great, awesome. And so I think that wraps up our discussion on all the 4 schools that you interviewed with. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. This has been extremely wonderful to witness firsthand, and see what successful applicants think about different schools and share their interview experiences. So this has been fantastic, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.